dude, I gotta start by telling you, like, these first 2 episodes of Halo blew me away. I've played the game my whole life. You guys brought it to life in epic fashion. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you for that. Every vote of confidence we get from the fans is one that I take seriously. Thank you so much.
I'm with you guys, man. And I gotta hear about the first time you put on the costume because it looks so good. Like, does it fit well? Is it comfortable?
It was a process.
Do you just feel like the ultimate badass in that thing?
Yes. The short answer is yes. Wearing the suit is one of the great pleasures and cosplay moments of my life. I mean, I'm the Master Chief, and who would have thunk, right? All of that is true. The reality of getting the suit right was very challenging, as most things on the show were. It was a huge challenge because it's such a massive universe and such a crazy visual experiment to try to realize, right? But so I went to London about 5 or 6 times to FBFX Studios, who made the costume. This is all before we shot, just to try to get the suit right and make it fit right. And, eventually we ended up with something that was the best version of what we could do with it. And still it was incredibly hot, incredibly uncomfortable, and really, really makes you quite immobile and makes movement quite difficult. So to try to bring that to life and make it feel like it's this piece of future tech that actually makes you super capable rather than weighing you down with 50 pounds of plastic was one of our big challenges.
You're like at the Michael Keaton stage of bat suits. You got to get to
I like it.
The patent.
I like it. Let's just skip the Val Kilmer, George Clooney suits and just get right to the Christian Bale. Season 2, Christian Bale.
And like a flap if you need it. I don't know if they hooked you up that.
We're good on that. We're good on that. No, we're good. We got all the bathroom technology is covered.
There you go. I want to hear, because this starts out with epic action. You're face to face with Covenant, and I know the Covenant are added in through visual effects and stuff. What is it like to fit? What are you facing on set when you're taking on a Covenant and you're seeing energy swords activated? What we see.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that? How much of that is there for you?
You see stunt guys on stilts playing Sangalis, right? Because of the height. So you've got that, and then the brutes are on even higher stilts. And the grunts are just tiny, the little short stunt guys. Everything's, height relevant. But yeah, the stunt people in tights.
Yeah,
with balls all over.
That's cool. Yeah. One thing, I got to ask if you were nervous, because when you play the game, you think of the mask, and you're putting a face to Master Chief now. You are now, you are the guy, you are him. Yep. And does that become nerve-wracking? Is that exciting? Because like Pedro on Mandalorian never takes his helmet off.
Yeah.
And this, we see a lot more emotion right out of the gate in the first episode. Does that get nerve-wracking when people know the green and gold, and now we're putting a face to it?
No, it's not nerve-wracking. It feels really exciting. It feels like a real opportunity to, help. It's tailoring the medium, the entertainment for the medium, right? The Halo is a first-person shooter game, and so Chief has always been kept as a symbol, very vague character that you don't really get to know because you're meant to be him. You put yourself in that position and fill out all the details of the personality with your own. We're making a TV show, and in order to have an audience connect with the character over the course of a long-term TV show, there's no way you can pull an audience through that without getting to know the character, without relating to the character, without empathizing with the character. And that feels virtually impossible to do with a helmet on all the time. And you don't have the real world rules against it like you do in The Mandalorian. If the Mandalorian takes his helmet off, he's not a Mando anymore. In Halo, the Spartans take their helmet, their Mjolnir off constantly. They have a whole life outside of it. The only rule about not taking your helmet off is the one about Chief not taking his off, because you're meant to believe you're him. So this is a new form of entertainment. It's a new medium. It's a chance for people who have played as Chief for so long to put the controller down, sit back on the couch, enjoy the experience of learning about the Chief in a way that you have never done before. And, I think it's an opportunity for all of us to get to know him in a better way.
I loved the first 2 episodes of the show, so congratulations on it. I just had to tell you that. I thought it was really fun to watch. And I love the Halo games, so I thought it was really cool. And Natascha, I'm going to come to you with my first question. Sure. Dr. Halsey, she's a mother to an actual daughter and also a mother to the Spartans in a way. So I'd love to hear about tell me about your perspective of the family work-life dynamic and how complicated it gets in the 2500s.
Yeah, I think actually I wouldn't use the word mother for her relationship to the Spartans or to her new creation, to Cortana. I'd use the word, inventor, creator, because she doesn't really have a particularly mothering personality. But I do think she's a scientist and she's an inventor and a creator, and that's where she gets over. That's what's exciting for her. So the sort of biological progeny that she has receives much less attention than the ones that she's enhancing and making in the lab.
Yeah, and all of that brings me to you. I mean, as the child of the scientist, what does Miranda think of everything that Halsey is doing in this UNSC base in the future?
Well, I think that it's layered. I think that probably Miranda's views are split between personal views based on her personal experience of yearning for a different type of relationship than the one that she had with Halsey. And I think that some of those views also come from her own moral code and from an objective standpoint, viewing the way that Halsey has decided to do things. I don't think Miranda agrees with those things from a moral standpoint. So yeah, I think
it's good. And it's as a fan of the game, and everybody who knows Halo has kind of images in their mind that they're familiar with before the live action version comes out. I would love to hear from you. Was there kind of like a welcome to Halo moment where you found yourself immersed in it, where you were looking around and you were like, wow, this is what it looks like here? And I'd love to hear about that kind of first impression. Was it seeing like people in Spartan outfits? Was it seeing the sets? What was that first like, we're here, we're doing this for you?
I think it was a process for everyone because everyone sort of got involved at slightly different times, and also you saw a lot of the art or even the storyboards, I suppose. So you had almost like spoilers before you arrived on set and saw all the Spartans in their costumes. And we had a boot camp as well when we arrived in Budapest, which is where we shot. So we had a sort of immersive 3-day introduction from 343 and from Kiki, schooling us on the whole canon, right? So, yeah.
I think that, I don't think there was any one thing, but there were so many different things. It's interesting because the world of the show is so vast and epic, but also working on a show like this, the nature of that is also vast and epic. Walking into a giant warehouse with hundreds upon hundreds of costumes for soldiers and Spartans, and that is epic in and of itself. And so I think that I feel like for me, the moment I landed in Budapest, it was like every single day there was a new thing that I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Walking into Halsey's lab for the first time, walking into another set for the first time, walking and seeing the costumes for the first time. Everything was epic, and so it was kind of every day.
That's awesome. And in the games, Miranda does get pretty hands-on in combat, and the family does go to battle a bit. Do you get to get in the trenches at all? What was that experience like if you did?
I think we'll have to wait and see.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to see more because I love these first 2 episodes, so congratulations.
Thanks
a lot for the time. I loved the first 2 episodes that I've seen of Halo. I'm a huge fan of the games, and this felt like the world was coming to life, the characters coming to life, the weapons, the vehicle, everything's there, the sounds were there. It was awesome. So I just wanted to say that. And actually, I'm going to come to you because I heard you had something cool about your casting story. I need to hear this. I got to start with that.
You heard me murmuring.
Can I hear it?
I did my audition via Zoom with Kiki Wolfkill and Otto Bathurst and Steven Kane. And they were apparently texting the whole time I was doing it, and I read 6 or 7 scenes for them, and and at the end, and they were like, okay, they didn't say anything in between. They just said, great, next scene, great, next scene, great, next scene. And I'm on a stool reading these scenes, which felt weird, right? But then at the end, they just paused, and Otto said, okay, well, I'm sold. See you in Budapest. And I was like, is that? Which did I? Does that mean I got it? I got it. Oh, okay.
That's unbelievable.
And my husband was in a meeting in the other room, and I went in. I was like, I got it. That was my response.
Well, congratulations.
Crazy woman knocking on the
You've
door.
earned it. I think that's
you.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Yerin, I want to come to you because the show starts out by letting us know it is also rated M for mature, and it is shown on your face when we learn that.
Says M on
The
my
mature.
face.
Well,
Yes.
I don't want to give anything away, but we do learn this one is for adults right away.
Yes.
What were those days like on set? How messy does it get for some of those crazy action pieces that we open with?
Oh, it gets pretty messy. There's a lot happening. I think it just shows how high the stakes are for the show and what you can expect, and like the other action sequences that you can expect from it. That's just a little teaser, I think.
Yeah, the
but
beginning.
they were long days. But you know, the stunt team and everyone there is just ready and prepared and ready to guide you. So it was just a lot of fun, actually.
That is awesome. That's cool. And Jen, I know you know that Cortana and Master Chief, they very much have a relationship, and Cortana has a personality of her own.
Indeed.
What is that like in the show? How does it come through in your perspective?
It's slightly different, a little different. It's going to be familiar to you, though, but we're in a different place. So I don't want to give too much away. We're in a different part of their journey and a place where they're just getting to know each other. So it's different. The character's almost entirely the same. A little bit different. But I mean, it's going to be familiar to people in that way. Yeah.
And how familiar did you make yourself with the games once you got the part? Did you go play any? Did you make sure to just stay focused to the script?
I did play. I gave it a go. I gave it a.
Did you start from the
good hot
beginning?
crack. Yes.
A good hot crack.
But that's what it was, just a good hot crack. It just
I
kind
love
of,
your Aussieisms. It makes me very happy.
and no, it didn't go very well.
Not a gamer. That's
No,
okay.
unfortunately, I've accepted that. Yes.
Well, you're in the Halo universe now, so I think that's
Thank
pretty
you.
good. You get a pass. And I want to hear from you also. How does Yerin and Master Chief's relationship evolve? Because that seems to be the kind of backbone of the show early on. How does that evolve as we get to move on and see it grow?
Oh, I think it's like a very strangely like bittersweet relationship that you kind of see, and I think Quan is a really great way to kind of be led into Master Chief's kind of humanity and kind of his heroism and his kind of backstory and everything like that. And yeah, I always say that Quan's kind of like the audience's eye in. So I think they'll be able to see that kind of beautiful relationship flourish, and then being able to empathize with why Master Chief has become the way he is.
I love it. I can't wait to see more from Quan and a little maybe Avenge Madrigal. But listen, thank you so much for the time. I cannot wait to see more. And
Thank you.
Congrats. Enjoy the ride.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Absolute pleasure. I have to start out by telling you, I loved the first 2 episodes of the show, and I have been a Halo gamer my whole life.
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
I felt like I was watching it come to life, and it was so cool. I wanted to thank you for it because it was so good.
Thank you.
That's great.
And I want to start in the first scene we learned. This show is following the suit of the game and being rated M for mature. I want to hear what it was like. Was there any challenges in getting a little bit of violence or any stuff like that into a TV series?
Yeah, I think, well, you know, Halo's always, well, in recent years we've got to a teen rating because of our alien blood. But no, you know, we wanted to reflect the action adventure and the stakes, right? So much about Halo is the stakes and what is, you know, what is under threat, which is humanity. And I think what we wanted to do was be able to feel that in a very visceral way right off the bat. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's some quiet at the beginning, and then quickly.
Not so quiet.
Yeah. Not so quiet until eternally quiet, maybe, for some of them.
Yeah, I think some of them were never speaking again.
Yeah.
But it really sets the stakes really well, so that's a good point. I love how, I mean, we have sounds from the games. We have a perspective, the point of view from the games. We have weapons and stuff, and warthogs and everything. Like, when you were bringing that stuff to the set, when you were making choices, like, this is what we're going to do in this scene, how much fun was it to get to pick and choose? Like, all right, we have so much built in, so much from this lore. Let's put this here, let's put this there. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was we tried in every department to bring in parts, you know, whether it's sound design, production design, music, the scripts, to bring in elements of the actual game. But what was great was this back and forth we would have, where I would ask a question like, "Is there anything in the game where I can do this?" And they go, "Oh yeah, let's look into the canon. There actually exists something." And any question I had, they had an answer for. I had questions about religious rites of the Sangheili. I had questions about the language we invented based on the game, the Sangheili language. So it was a huge playground with stuff for us to play with, and there was no end. You almost didn't have to invent your own gags because they were built into the canon. So it was great.
Actually, you mentioned the Sangheili language. I have a question here I wanted to ask about training actors to speak the language. Is that difficult to get consistency and make sure that it is coming through and also get people to deliver that?
Apparently not, because the very first read-through, Charlie Murphy, who plays McKee,
she's extraordinary.
I thought she would be reading the English for now. All of a sudden, she's go away. It's my bad impression.
Yeah.
She does it while acting, and she knows what she's saying. So the point is, you could watch these scenes of people talking in Sangheili without subtitles, and you could understand what's going on because they live the lines.
It just immerses you in it. It's so good. It's so good. I also I appreciate that we get to see Master Chief's face. You talked about a human element. This isn't the Mandalorian. We're taking the helmet off. We're seeing his face, and we're seeing emotions from Master Chief, from John early on, which is kind of a change from the game. We don't really see his face really over there. So I'm curious, were you guys nervous to do stuff like that? Was that a tough call?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was at once difficult, but also very straightforward. And by that I mean, we didn't go into it with an opinion either way, but we did know that we wanted to tell the story about John, and we did know that we wanted the audience to go on this journey with him. And so the story sort of immediately, that's the straightforward part, the story made it really clear that it was going to be critical to see him out of the helmet and out of the armor, but also difficult because we know how sacred the Chief is to so many players. And I think, for us, we all have our own version of Chief, right? And your Chief's story and my Chief's story and Steve's Chief's story are all different, and those are personal. What we're asking is for the audience to sit back and let us tell you this one singular story of Chief, which hopefully doesn't, shouldn't encroach on any of our personal beliefs about who he is when we're playing.
Yeah, I could talk with you all day about this. I gotta let you get to the next person, but thank you so much for a great show. I hope to talk to you again, and congratulations.
Thanks
so much.
Thank you.
Great to hear.